Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into a topic that doesn't get enough honest discussion: honoring your parents. Let's rethink this. We've all heard it, especially in church. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Exodus 20:12. It sounds straightforward, right? But what happens when your parents weren't exactly honorable? When they were absent, abusive, or just difficult? If you've ever struggled with this commandment, you're not alone. In this video, we're having a real open conversation about what honoring your parents really means and how to navigate it in a way that's true to both your faith and personal experience. So let's get into it. What does it mean to honor your parents? Traditionally, honoring parents is understood as respecting them, speaking kindly and treating them well, obeying them, following their rules, especially if you're still living under their roof, showing gratitude, acknowledging their sacrifices, supporting them emotionally and financially as they age. Different cultures emphasizes different aspects, but the core message is the same: respect, gratitude, and responsibility. But is it always that simple? When I researched this topic, I noticed something. Most YouTube videos take a one-sided approach, preaching about honoring parents without addressing the real-life struggles many people face. But then I looked at the comments and wow, story after story with people asking questions like, how do I honor a parent who abused me? What about parents who abandoned me? What if my parents don't even like me? One comment really stuck with me. It said, and I paraphrase, the church has done a number on the children of abusive parents. The parents sit smugly in church knowing they can behave however they want and still expect honor. Meanwhile, the child is guilted into silence and forced to carry the weight of that trauma alone. Where is the fairness in that? That's a question that truly deserves an answer. God takes honoring parents seriously. It's in the Ten Commandments, and Jesus reaffirmed it in Matthew 19:16 to 19. So why does he insist we honor our parents? I see two key reasons. One, God chose them to bring us into the world. Like it or not, they were the vessels he used for our existence. Even if we don't understand why he chose those parents, we can't really change that fact. Two, they raised us and provided for us. While this should be the norm, we all know it's not always the case. And here is where the dilemma comes in. The reality is some parents are abusive and neglectful, and the commandment doesn't account for this. Is it fair to expect honor from an adult who was maltreated as a child? Then there are unrealistic expectations. The expectation of unconditional obedience can be tough, especially when parents pile on unreasonable emotional and financial demands. And how do we deal with blended families? For example, what if a child was abandoned by their biological parent but raised with love by a step parent? Who do they honor? Now add the mix of different cultures. In some cultures, honoring parents means giving them money. In others, not so much. These conflicting choices may put you at odds with your parents' expectations. So clearly, honoring your parents isn't always going to be straightforward. The good news is the ball is in your court. God, in his infinite wisdom, gave this commandment to the child, meaning you get to interpret what honor looks like. Not your parents, not your pastor, and certainly not random people on the internet. You decide how to honor your parents in the way that aligns with your faith and well-being. Too often, judgmental people try to dictate what honor should look like. They decide that we must honor our parents and how we should do it. If we fail to meet their standards, they are quick to judge us, prescribe the consequences, and even determine the punishment. It's exhausting. This happens a lot in religious communities. My view? Don't let anyone pressure or guilt you into honoring your parents on their terms. Seek God, trust your heart, and find your own way. Here's something else I realized. The Bible tells us to honor our parents, but it does not command us to love them. Why is this? I think it's because God knows that some parents do things so awful to their child that love becomes nearly impossible. And guess what? That's okay. You can still honor them without loving them. Think about a country's president. You may not love or even like them, but you can still show them basic respect because of the position they hold. So if you struggle with loving a parent who hurts you, don't beat yourself up. Your feelings are valid. So what does honor look like? I am not here to tell anyone how they should honor their parents, especially those who have experienced abuse. Instead, let me share two examples to illustrate my perspective. Imagine two adult children. First child was raised by a loving parent in a nurturing environment. Second child had an absent parent who contributed nothing to their upbringing. Both children grow up wealthy. When their parent needs an expensive operation, neither has any financial concerns, so they both cover the cost. However, their actions differ beyond that. The nurtured child stays by their parent's side every day in the hospital until they recover. The abandoned child pays for the surgery but never visits. Remember, when we honor our parents, we honor the way God chose to bring us into the world. The abandoned child honors God by acknowledging their parents' role in their existence, despite the neglect and even if they don't have a close relationship. The nurtured child, on the other hand, chooses to go further, repaying the love, care, and support they once received. In my view, both children have honored their parents, but that's just my opinion. The key takeaway: don't let anyone guilt you into their definition of honor. You define what honor looks like for you. Final thoughts. Some parents think that just because they share your DNA, they are automatically entitled to honor. But Ephesians 6:1-3 is followed by verse 4, which tells parents not to provoke their children, but to raise them with love and instruction. When you consider verse 4, it becomes clear that honor should not be demanded as if the actions of the parents don't matter. You don't get to abandon your child and show up 30 years later demanding the full menu of honor. Because at the end of the day, the onus is on the adult child and how they choose to express honor. Even celebrities struggle with this. Take Tina Turner. She said her mother didn't want her, didn't even like her, yet still felt entitled to her success. Tina tearfully narrated that she would do for her mother as if she was loved by her, all the while knowing her mother's true feeling towards her. Honestly, you could hear the brokenness of the little girl in her voice. But that was how she chose to honor her parents. So what does honoring your parents mean to you? Drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation going. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real talk. See you in the next one.